I'm going to be real with you. A lot of our children just do not know what they need to know when it comes to math, just period. When it comes to when they're at their grade level or reading level, when it comes to mathematics, when it comes to writing, a lot of our children don't know what they need to know, even in elementary school. So we're going to talk about second grade math, specifically subtraction. And I'm going to give you three areas that you can check for your child to help them bone up on the scale of subtraction so we can talk about that. So I'll jump into that right now as we do it. And I'll kind of take some examples from the resources that I've built because, really we're in charge of it. One of the first things you can do to help your child with subtraction is to test and make sure they know how to answer questions where the top number is like no more than 10. So if they're subtracting from 10 or below, they should know that with very good frequency by the second grade. They should know. So if I have 6 minus 0, they should know that 6 really off the top of their head. Within like 2 or 3 seconds, they should know that immediately. If it's 10 minus 2, that should be an answer that they could come up with relatively quickly. Or 8 minus 6. And if you find your child in the second grade and they cannot subtract numbers where the top number is 10 and they're subtracting a single digit from that. If they can't do that right away, problems like you see on this page right here, you test them. That's an area for you to kind of check and to be aware of because they're going to have more struggles if they don't get that mastered. And this may be something that they were taught in first grade. And sometimes we'll say, hey, they knew that back in first grade. I don't need to teach them again. You'll be surprised what children remember and what they don't remember. So that's one thing to think about. Subtracting from 10 where they have something simple like 10 minus 2 or 8 minus 6 and being able to know that off the top of their head. Another thing you do, the second thing you can do to help your child is to think about word problems. Let's think about word problems that you can give them just at home. Simple things you can give them. Again, where the number may be 10 at top, where they're subtracting from 10 and they're trying to figure out what to do. So let's say you have a word problem like this. Let's say you have 10 lemons in the kitchen and they're on the kitchen table or something, and that's too many. You want to take away 3 lemons from 10. How much is that? Give your child that same kind of problem, those same kind of problems that we just talked about in terms of subtracting from 10, give them that in terms of word problems, figuring out how would you do something like that. If you had a situation where you had 10 lemons and you needed to take away 3 from them, you're putting it in a real world situation where they can think about it and think about subtraction and get out of just the numbers of it, but also understand what subtraction is really asking them to do. You can do something like, cups that you have for dinner, or plates for dinner, and you have too many out there and you want to take away 2, how many you have left. So things you can give your child in real life that will help them. So word problems is the second thing you do. The other thing you should do, I believe when it comes to second grade is to make sure, now there are many things they're going to learn as subtraction, but also make sure that they can subtract from 20. So if they have numbers where it's like 20 minus 2 or 20 minus 18 or 20 minus 3, they should be able to get that and understand that with really good sufficiency. So the first part, subtracting from 10, they should know off the top of their head. When it comes to subtracting from 20, they should know that as well. It may take them a little bit longer, but they should begin to master that because kids get into the third grade and the fourth grade and they really don't know these things off the top of their head, and it's very hard to do fractions. It's very hard to do decimals and other things you're going to need to do later on in math if you don't know this here. So take some of these examples: 18 minus 7 or 20 minus 17 or 16 minus 9. Give them things like that. Anything is fair game within 20 is fair game. Give it to them and see if your child can do that.